Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and today we are continuing December's theme of non-traditional Christmas movies. Up next, we have Ernest Saves Christmas from 1988. This is the third film? Yes. Third film in the Ernest P. Worrell franchise, I guess you should say. So for the folks who don't know who Ernest P. Worrell is actually a character created by a gentleman named John R. Cherry, played by Jim Varney, is the guy who plays the actual character of Ernest P. Worrell. And so basically, he was created as an ad campaign in Nashville, Tennessee. And then later on was John created a short film about 40 minutes long or so that essentially starred Ernest and all of his family. It was called the Know What I Mean? Hey Vern, It's My Family album. That was released in 1983. You can actually watch the whole thing on YouTube if you want. And I'll try to remember to post it on the website. On the blog post when this goes live, or when this is live, and you can watch it from there, or click on over to the YouTubes and look for it. It's got a weird name. It's called know what I mean? ? Hey Vern, It's My Family album. That was the first appearance of Ernest outside of the commercials in Tennessee, and Jim Varney played several characters in that. He played Ernest P. Worrell, Davy Worrell and Company, Ace Worrell, Lloyd Worrell, Billy Boogie Worrell, Wretch Worrell, and Pop Worrell, amongst that cast of characters. And then later movies, he actually brought some of them back as characters that he pops up as through the movies. And if you see the movies, you'll know what I mean. But we'll go over that in a little bit. So, the first feature film to star Ernest P. Worrell, played by Jim Varney, is Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam. That was the first feature film released in 1985, at a staggering 93 minutes, I believe. Let me pull up all the info here. It was shot on a budget of $800,000, and was basically another venture of Jim Varney playing multiple characters, including Dr. Otto Van Schnick. He played a bunch of different characters. I'm not going to go over. There's way too many. I just looked at the list, and I'm not going to go over all of them. Plus, there's a bunch of actors you've never heard in there, except for Billy Berg, who I will talk about in a minute, why he's in there as well. So, John R. Cherry III has essentially done majority of his career was Ernest stuff. So the first thing, obviously, Know What I Mean? Hey Vern, It's My Family album. Then he did Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam. Then he did Ernest Film Festival, which is a video that was released in '86, and then the second feature film, Ernest Goes to Camp, released in 1987. Then a small video called Hey Vern, Win $10,000, which I don't actually know what that is, and I didn't look it up. And then you have this movie, which we were talking about today, Ernest Saves Christmas, released in 1988. Then the follow-up to that, Ernest Goes to Jail, in 1990. Then my favorite of the Ernest movies, Ernest Scared Stupid, in 1991. Then you have Ernest Rides Again in 93, Slam Dunk Ernest in 1995, Ernest Goes to Africa in 97, and Ernest in the Army, which was in 1998. And then John went on to do a All New Adventures of Laurel and Hardy, In For Love or Mummy, which was a 1999 movie remake of, or reimagining of, Laurel and Hardy. Then he did Pirates of the Plane in 1999, which had Tim Curry and a couple other people in it. Then he did a bunch of other stuff I've are all short videos of some sort that I've never seen. And of course, most obviously famously known for creating the character of Ernest P. Worrell for ad campaigns and later on, obviously, movies from there. Starring in Ernest Saves Christmas is Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell. Ernest P. Worrell, obviously, Jim's most notable visual character. When I say that, because he's done some voice acting, and the most popular one, some people would know him as, is Slinky Dog from Toy Story 1 and 2. And then, of course, he unfortunately passed away of lung cancer before Toy Story 3 was actually out. Which they, of course, recast later with, God, I can't remember his name before. Blake Clark was the guy who took over Slinky Dog. Blake Clark, for the people who don't know who he is right away, he was the next door neighbor in Home Improvement. If you guys remember the face above the fence guy on Home Improvement, I believe. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not Blake Clark. Blake Clark is, I clicked on the thing there. Was in an episode. Blake Clark is known for being in a lot of Adam Sandler movies. He was he's been in a lot of different things. But one of my favorite roles of his was the special teams coach in The Waterboy, which is one of my favorite ones. But he's been in a lot of the different Adam Sandler projects over the years. Little Nicky, Mr. Deeds, 50 First Dates. He's been a lot. So many different things as well too. But yeah, so that's who played Slinky Dog. I got on a tangent there. Not who we're talking about today. Jim Varney also has he did a lot of television, including a television program as Ernest P. Worrell and various characters called Hey Vern, It's Ernest. They ran for 13 episodes, I think, and then he also did a couple different things. Happy New Year, America, which is a live New Year's event where he actually played Ernest P. Worrell and a correspondent. Then he did Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain, which is an ad for Disneyland, because, believe it or not, these movies are actually released by Buena Vista Entertainment, which is a subsidiary of Disney. So, Disney needs to step up and put these movies on Disney Plus so y'all can watch them and have fun like I did with Paige the other night watching Ernest Saves Christmas. And we were going to watch Ernest Scared Stupid during Halloween, but we never got around to it. We got sidetracked by other things and other movies. But yeah, it's awesome. And Jim Varney's awesome. So next up in the cast is the gentleman who plays Santa Claus, or Seth Applegate, if you watch the movie. His name is Douglas Seale. That's Seale. He is doesn't have a lot of acting credits. He's been in a lot of different things. He was most famously, looking at the list of stuff he's done, was actually the voice of the Sultan in 1992 animated movie Aladdin from Disney. But he was also in Ghostbusters 2. He was he was in Amadeus, The Rescuers Down Under. He did a voice for that. Yeah, that's Douglas Seale. Next up, we have Oliver Clark. Oliver Clark in the movie plays a gentleman named John Carruthers, who is crucial to the plot. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but once you watch it, you'll understand what it is. So Oliver Clark, I thought, had a bigger career than what I knew him as, but he doesn't. He was on a couple episodes of Barney Miller. He was in a shit ton of different shows, different characters in different shows like Saint Elsewhere. A Star is Born, Bob Newhart show, a couple different shows like that. He was where is it at? Oh, I can't remember where it's at. I saw something out there. He was in something else, but I can't remember what it was. But I didn't know. I don't really know him from anything. He looks familiar, but I doing research, not really a big known actor as I thought he was, because I thought he was on other things, but I was wrong. Next up, we have two characters that come back in several different Ernest movies. The first one I mentioned earlier, Bill. I believe it's called, his last name is pronounced Berg, but it might be Byrig. I'm not too sure. But he plays Bobby in 5 of the Ernest movies. Bobby is mostly silent, talks a little bit, but he is the sidekick to a gentleman named, well, in 2 of the movies, he's the sidekick to a gentleman named Chuck. And then later on, he appears with, who is he in that one? I can't remember who else he's in that one. But he's in Gerald Sartain is in a couple of them. But those two came from commercials as well in the Nashville area. And they go by the names of Chuck and Bobby. And they were a series of commercials called Me and My Brother Bobby, which were a bunch of different pitches and product ads on local TV. I believe it's local TV only, across a bunch of different ones. But basically, they started in Hey Vern, It's Ernest, and they made appearances in some of the movies, and then did a bunch of commercials as well. But yeah, that's it. If you see these movies, you'll know exactly what's going on, and you'll see Bill in 5 of the 8 or 9 Ernest movies, as well as appearances on the Hey Vern, It's Ernest television series. Yeah, so that's I think I made myself clear on that, right? No? I'm thinking I did not. So basically, in the world of Ernest, in the Ernest P. Worrell franchise, he plays Bill and Gerald or Gillard, I believe that's his name, appear in multiple facets. The show Hey Vern, It's Ernest, and a couple of the movies, they show up as brothers Chuck and Bobby in a series of Me and My Brother Bobby pitches for local TV stations and product ads within the show Hey Vern, It's Ernest. I think I clarified that now. I think I fucked up the way I said it. It's supposed to be basically dudes that make commercials in the local area that basically are in the world of Ernest but don't really exist. They're characters, basically, but they are characters that are supposed to exist in the real world of Ernest P. Worrell, if that makes any sense. I think I'm confusing everybody and myself. But yeah, so they appear in multiple episodes as well as the movies that they are in. And the last but not least is Billy Bird. Billy Bird plays a character in the movie, small role, but kind of important-ish to the not really to the plot, but in the story itself. Is Mary Morrissey. Billy Bird was essentially the kind of the quintessential old lady in a lot of later TV shows and movies. She started acting back in 1950, I believe, was her first television or movie role, I guess television role would be the big thing. I guess that's a movie, right? Dallas was a movie before anything else. Anyways, she's been in a bunch of different things, but she, to me, there's a couple different things. One is she appears in the Police Academy movies, the several of them, last 3, I believe. I think is in there. She was in Home Alone. She was in Dennis the Menace, and she was in Jury Duty, which are pretty, noticeable movies. She's been in a lot of different things. One Crazy Summer, 16 Candles, Max Dugan Returns, Young Doctors in Love, The Odd Couple, TV-wise, Gunsmoke, The Waltons, It Takes Two, Benson, Newhart, Happy Days, Three's a Crowd, Remington Steele, a lot of different things. She's been in a lot of different things. But yeah, that's the characters. So the movie itself, tale as old as time. A good Ernest P. Worrell always plays a well-intentioned buffoon who basically will do anything he can to help others, even if it's his faults, which usually it's definitely his faults. Part of his charm is the fact that he will literally do anything for anybody and try to make it right as he can. Even though he doesn't know he did things wrong, he eventually figures it out. But in this particular movie, he starts off as a cab driver who ends up picking up the now traveling Santa Claus, who is in town looking for a replacement, because he is now aging out the role and he's starting to not be able to do the role. So he's coming to find his replacement, who is, spoiler, being played by Oliver Clark's character, John Carruthers, and he is the target of Santa Claus to be the new Santa Claus. And Ernest helps him along the way by bumbling a few times and messing things up, and then of course comes in for the win at the end. And there's reindeer, and there's elves, and then there's hijinks abounding. Ernest plays 2 of his different characters in this one. Well, he plays 3 different characters, but 2 very popular and returning characters in this particular movie, as himself playing those characters, not those characters as real characters in the world of Ernest. And you will see what I mean by that in a little if you watch the movie. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I have been your host, Cody. Tune in next week when we wrap up December's theme of awesome non-traditional Christmas movies with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, everybody. That's it. This episode will come out before Christmas, so Merry Christmas and all that fun stuff to everybody who's celebrating Christmas. Tune in next week when I continue and wrap up December's and 2020's Awesome with Cody podcast, and we will all join in hands and move into the new year and hopefully a better time. Anyhow, that's it. Like I always say at the end of these episodes, let's be awesome.